guys, it's Delaney. Welcome back to the First Faith Podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. Again, we are not in my little closet studio. We are in a hotel room here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm super excited to share what God's been doing. But for some context, because I feel like I've just been everywhere. Last week we were in New York. Now we're in Tennessee. And I want to share where we are, what we're doing. So this all started, I'm going on a 25-day trip, but this all started with a call from Joel Mott, who said, hey, we're going to New York. The team is, if you want to come, pray, ask the Lord, and then let's go. And so I just felt it in my spirit to go. We were helping to start the New York Will Be Saved chapter out there. And it was an amazing event. People were giving their life to Jesus, being baptized in the ocean. It was truly incredible. And after processing that event, I just feel so blessed to have been a part of the team. I think my mission right now when I do California Will Be Saved stuff is just really to be an observer and to be an intercessor and a prayer warrior, but also just somebody who's learning. I learn a lot from Joel, who's leading it. I learned a lot from Abby, who started New York Will Be Saved. I just learned a lot from the people and the teams that they surround themselves with, because what do I know about ministry? This is all super new and super foreign to me. And I think a huge lesson that I learned from this is just to let it happen. You don't always have to be the front runner. You don't always have to be like the first person to hold a microphone up, but really just pray and reach people and to love on people and to invite people places. That's also just as important as holding a microphone in front of everybody. And so I'm really learning the difference and the value of each position on the team, whether that's praying or evangelism or outreach or, having a microphone or social media or using your voice to just really exhort and praise the Lord and give God glory. So it was a really cool trip. Obviously, New York is always so fun. I wanted to live there when I was a kid. I was super into musical theater and really wanted to go to Juilliard or NYU. So grateful to God I didn't, because I am on a different trajectory of my life, but it's just so weird. That was my third time in New York. And so it's just weird each time having like a different epiphany of myself. The first time being like, this is everywhere I wanted to be, with all of the lights and the cameras and the action and all of that, and the city that never sleeps, and just this arts-filled city. I just loved it. And then the second time I went was during Christmas. It was so beautiful. And just really having the epiphany, though, that no, I don't think this is for me. God really changing and transforming my heart. And then to go back this third time and to do ministry for God, using my talents that I thought I would be in New York for, to glorify myself, to be on Broadway or to be in movies or whatever, but to use those same talents of speaking and just being able to be in front of people and use it to glorify God was just so beautiful. It really was just so sentimental to me. I loved every bit of it. How we change, how life goes on, and it's a beautiful thing to witness as you change and grow. And I'm just so grateful for where I'm at and for what the Lord's been doing in my life. And so after being in the city, I actually went to upstate New York to stay with my mom's friend, who's a missionary. She works for the United Nations at the Christian Embassy. And so very cool. Loved being able to just see a different form of ministry. Ministry can look like so many things. Ministry is just preaching the gospel where God has you. And obviously there's certain specific ministries, right? Like she does Christian Embassy with crew at the United Nations. That's a ministry, right? California Will Be Saved, New York Will Be Saved isn't ministry, but they're all different and they're all good. And well, not all of them. You have to be very careful with like what people are preaching. But it's just cool to see that God works offline, because so much of what I do is online and through social media. And so it's very cool to see the interaction and the different ethnicities and ages of people all around the world that come together to make his name known. So it's just cool to witness a different type of ministry while I was staying with her. And then from there, I went to South Carolina and I visited a friend for 4th of July. Learned a lot about just what it means to rest in chaos, or like rest from, not chaos per se, but just like a lot of work, and just in the moments that you can find like an hour just to rest. Really learn what it's like to speak life into people, but also know when it's not welcomed, and really just abide. Speak when necessary, keep your mouth shut when not, but also just enjoy the moment and the day that God's put in front of you. And so now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's crazy because I came here, I have no plan. The person I originally thought I was going to stay with didn't end up working out. So I landed, and I was expecting God to just send some grand gesture. I was truly expecting God to just provide in this massive big way. And Tennessee has been on my heart for a long time. I've actually been opening up social media, and every time I open social media, it's Tennessee. I'm like, okay, obviously, not only are you the only 10 I see, but I gotta go. Get it? Was that funny? No. Anyway, so I landed, and I was expecting to turn on my phone and some magical thing to happen, some part the Red Sea, some miracle to happen. I believe that he can do it. If he did it for Moses, he can do it for me. If he did it for Abraham, he can do it for me. If he can do it for anyone in the Bible, he can do it for me. These massive, big things, I just know he can. And I know he will in his timing, But yeah, I didn't get a text from anybody. No one magically showed up in my life. No grand gesture happened. So I was like, okay, God, like, what do I do? And it was like, what's just the next step? I have to get a rental car because I have to go visit my family in Knoxville. So I was like, I'll just go down and get a rental car. And then I'm like, but God's going to provide and it's going to be free. And I get there and it's $900. I'm like, oh, not free. Like, I just expect God to show up, which is great, which is so beautiful, which is amazing that I believe in that. But then after I get the rental car, I'm like, okay, God, now what? Like, now what? And then I was like, well, I'm hungry. So the next step is just to go and get food. So I went to Whataburger. Never been to Whataburger before. Well, that's a lie. I have been to Whataburger. Whataburger. What is it? Whataburger? Whataburger. It doesn't matter. But there's one in Arizona. It was so bad. So I was like, I have to try Southern Whataburger. So I did. And keep in mind, it's like 10 p.m. at night. And so then I'm like, okay, now I'm tired. So the next step is to sleep. Where do I sleep? Do I sleep in my car? I could do that. Because God, wouldn't that be a crazy adventure? God, wouldn't that be insane to like tell the grandkids that I slept in my car because I was abiding in you? And then I was looking around, and the Whataburger I was in was not in a good place. I was like, maybe I should get a hotel. And so I get a hotel, pay another $300 to get a hotel. And it's crazy because as I was expecting God to show up in these crazy ways, these big, extravagant ways, which he can do and he does do in my life, he's just as faithful in the mundane. He's just as good and just as faithful in the next step, in the day-to-day. And I was reminded of this as I was going to sleep. I'm like, okay, God, but like, where were you? Like, I was expecting you to be grand and extravagant and do something. And I was reminded of the book of Ruth. Now, the book of Ruth is really interesting. It's 4 chapters. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. It's 4 chapters, and it's about this family, Naomi's family. She had 2 sons and a husband. They moved from Israel to Moab, because Israel was having a famine, and so they went to Moab to seek refuge, and they ended up staying there. The sons got married, the husband dies, the sons die. So then Naomi was like, I'm going to go back to Israel. I heard that they are out of a famine, so let's go back to Israel. So she tells the 2 women who married her sons, hey, you don't have to come with me. And one of them leaves, and then the other one, Ruth, was like, no, I'll go. And this is so beautiful because Naomi is dismissing them. She says, you don't have to come with me. And Ruth says, she actually says, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. I think that's so beautiful, first of all, her commitment to not only Naomi and the promise that she made her son, but also to God. Moab did not worship God of Israel, does not worship Jesus Christ, but She said, your God will be my God. I'm changing my identity. I am walking in this newness of life. I am transforming from who I used to be to who I will be in this new God of yours, because I trust you and I trust this God of yours. And so I just think that that's so beautiful. So she steps into that. And then to continue on with the story, Naomi and Ruth are back in Israel. Naomi's so sad. She's like, the Lord has dealt harshly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. She's talking about how just completely desolate that she is. And it's so beautiful because as I was reading commentary, it says emptiness and being empty can be the start of God's provision. Being empty, when you completely allow yourself to be drained of any expectation, anything fighting for your attention, when you completely allow yourself to be empty, whether that's from surrendering it all to God and being like, God, I wanted to be an actress and live in New York City, but now I don't, and I'll do ministry and I'll go wherever you call me. So I surrender everything. There's that, or there's my husband died, like Naomi. My husband died, my sons died, and I lost everything, and so I had to change. I'm completely empty. There, you can either choose to surrender everything, or when it happens to you, continue to surrender and be like, God, I'm empty. And it's so beautiful being empty, because that's when you can be filled again. God is in the story, in the work of redemption. God redeems. He's the ultimate redeemer. And it's so beautiful how the story continues, because Ruth, okay, she's put on this new identity, right? She's willing to work hard. She doesn't have a husband. It's really rare and hard for women to get ahead in life, and make money and all these things. But she does what she can, and she goes out into the harvesting fields, because it was barley harvest season. She goes out into the harvesting fields, and behind all of like the harvesters, she's like gleaning from what they've already harvested. So she's picking up what they left behind. So kind of the bottom of the barrel, gross, kind of like left behind pieces of barley. And she runs into this man named Boaz, whose field she happened to be gleaning from, and he protects her. He says, basically, you have favor. I've heard of everything. Actually, let me just read you what he says. Because he says that he'll protect her. No one's going to touch her or harm her. She can have water and food from him, and be with his servants. And she says, why have I found favor in your eyes? And he said, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been told fully to me, and how you left your father and mother in your native land and came to people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. And I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But what I love the most, and then to conclude the story, 2 more chapters, basically they fall in love. Basically, she likes him, he likes her, but then there has to be this whole like redeeming ritual that goes on. And so it's a beautiful story of redemption. There's symmetry and redemption from the first chapter into the last chapter. He's able to marry Ruth, and actually through their lineage comes Jesus, comes David, King David, and then comes Jesus. And it's just so beautiful. The main idea of this whole chapter, this whole story, is that God is hardly mentioned, yet there is an interplay of God's purpose through human decision. Loyalty and obedience to God allows him to use you and work through you. And ultimately, God is at work in the mundane. And there's one part in particular I really want to like park on today, park our cars, I guess. I don't know, park our thoughts. I don't know what the saying is. I just woke up. So I got to stop filming these right when I wake up because it's incoherent. Okay, so in chapter 2, verse 3, it says, and she happened to come a part of a field belonging to Boaz. And she happened. So, as we meditate on what this means, I want to talk more about my story of just like, I was expecting God to show up in these grand, extravagant ways. And I'm pretty sure that's what Naomi was thinking as well, because she's like, I went away full. I was expecting marriage, and I was expecting a long life with my sons and their wives and grandchildren, and, my husband, and all of them died. I have no grandchildren, and now I'm back here. I'm a widow, and my daughter-in-law's a widow, and we have no way to make money, and I'm empty. I'm completely empty. And then Ruth shows up, and she just does what a righteous person does. And she so happens, because she's abiding in the Lord, because she's abiding in the identity of who God calls her to, abiding in the identity of a Proverbs 31 woman. And she so happens to show up in Boaz's field. Boaz, who so happens to be their family redeemer, the only person, there's one other guy, but he was already married, blah, blah, blah. But there so happens to be the only man who can ultimately redeem her family, the only one who could legally marry Ruth, the only one that could legally partake in a relationship with her. And he so happened to be wealthy, a well-established, respectful man. Through him and Ruth's union, it so happens that the lineage of Jesus continues. You cannot tell me God is not at work in the details of your life. It says, and she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz. I just love that it says, and she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz. She happened to. You know, she happened to, but before that, who was Ruth? Ruth had decided to change her identity, and she decided to be a loyal, righteous, servant-hearted woman who was hardworking, honest, and willing. She was willing. She didn't say, woe is me. She didn't low-key be like Naomi and stay inside and do nothing. She went out and she said, I'm going to make a life for myself and for Naomi. I'm going to do something about my circumstance, and I'm going to trust this new God that I said I put my faith in. I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to live righteously, and I'm going to do the things that produce fruit, both physically and spiritually in my life. That's what Ruth chose to do. And so it was because, or part of the reason why, when she was doing the right thing, she so happened to come upon Boaz's field. I don't know how God works in the so happens. Like, I don't know how it works, because it feels like human decision, right? It is human decision because we have free will. But God works through our free will. God gives us the opportunity to be righteous and to follow righteousness. And when he does, it so happens that it works out. And I'll speak personally for a second, because a few years ago, I was working at a restaurant, and I so happened to hear the Lord say, go put your resume in at this gym across the street. And I had just finished college. I just moved back home, and I was done working at the restaurant. I was kind of over it. So I was like, okay, I'll go try something new. So I just so happened to put my resume in, and I so happened to get a call, and I so happened to get, this job working there. And after one manager changed over, a new manager came in, and he so happened to have a girlfriend that was working for Turning Point that so happened to inspired me after I had been rejected from all of my dream jobs that I thought I was going to have because of my resume and experience that I should have gotten. Like, I should have gotten all of these jobs in the sports industry world. And when I didn't, so happened that this new manager comes in and gives me a new idea to work for this new company for this guy that I've seen maybe a little bit on social media named Charlie Kirk. And I was like, maybe I'll apply. We'll see what happens. And I so happened to get the job. And through that connection and leaving and all of these things, I so happened to go to America Fest last December. And I so happened to have met this man named Matthew at while I was working for Turning Point, and he so happened to introduce me to this guy named Joel, who so happened to have a company called California Will Be Saved, who I so happened to say, hey, if you ever need help with anything, let me know, who so happened to invite me out to an event where I got physical healing from my back, spiritual healing in my life, and have changed my life completely. And I so happened to change my platform from being about me to being about God and being part of the ministry that is First Faith Media. God works in the so happens. I don't know how, because all of that was human decision. The day that I met Joel, I was exhausted. I didn't want to talk to anybody. My friend Matthew was so kind in introducing me to all of these connections and all these amazing people and big name people that only really he had connections with, like crazy people that could change my life instantly if they wanted to. None of those people called me back. None of those people reached back out to me. But at one point, Matthew so happened to know this one guy that was standing next to this other guy. And this other guy and me kind of were on the side as Matthew and this other guy were talking. And I was so tired. I was like, I really don't want to say anything to this guy. Like, I'll give it one last go. So I so happened to say, hi, I'm Delaney. And he happened to say, hi, I'm Joel. And within 5 minutes, maybe even 3, Gave him my information, said, if you need anything for California, let me know. I love the state. I would love to participate. Never thought I'd hear from him again. Got a text really like a month later, 2 months later. And now I just went to New York with their team. I know God can show up and part Red Seas. It's that stuff that I don't even really need like encouragement for faith in, because every day I believe God's going to do something crazy. But more often than not, he works in the mundane. My life has been changed for the better because of the mundane. My life has been changed for the better because of the so happens. And as I'm sitting in Nashville in my hotel room last night, really upset because I'm like, God, I thought something big was going to happen here. I heard a few words. I heard abide, rest, build, slow down, and wait. All words that are used in the mundane. Moses wasn't told to rest. Moses was told to go. Keep going. But at one point, God did tell him, you need only to be still, and I will part the seas. And so I feel like at this moment in my life, I needed to be reminded that all I need to do is be still. I defined these words because I really needed help grasping them because they are very foreign to me. I have always been a person, a go-getter, a fighter. If I want something done, I'm going to do it. If I want something in my life, I'm going to make it happen. And that is completely opposite from what God is teaching me right now. He says, you only need to be still. So these words, these 5 words that God has given me in this season, I'm going to share and define for you. The first one is abide, which means to remain in. And we talk about abiding a lot here. John 15 is all about abiding, and we'll get to that. But to remain in, what do we remain in? We remain in God's love, God's provision, God's goodness. The next one is to rest, and that definition is to stop moving in order to recover strength. Last week in South Carolina, I just felt like it was go, go, go. And so at times I'd had to tell my friend, I was like, can we just take an hour to just rest? And I'm learning what that means. It doesn't always mean sleep. It can mean listening to a song. It can mean coloring. It can mean whatever it is that gives you the chance to recover your strength, but with the Lord. I like to listen to music. I like to listen to worship music and just like rest and recover my strength and ask the Lord to be with me constantly in that hour. The next word is to build, which means to create by putting parts together. And this is great because I think for me and what I do on social media, and I don't really have what you would call like success, what the world would call success. But I feel successful because I love what I'm doing. I'm joyful. I get to travel. I have no financial income coming in right now. I'll be so honest. And it concerns me absolutely. And I used to be growing 1,000 followers a week. And that all stopped. I've barely gained 100 followers in a month. And it's absolutely concerning. However, I don't need to be concerned because I'm building. I'm changing my brand. I'm changing my identity. I changed my voice, my tone online. I'm changing my TikTok style. I'm changing all of these things. But it's not only change, it's build. Right? We live in a world that just needs instant gratification. Like, let's blow up a TikTok. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's go, go, go. But God is a builder. He's a carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter. He came to earth as a carpenter. Do you know he could have come to earth as anything else? What do carpenters do? They build. They create something out of nothing. And that's what we're called to do. We build. It's not instant. It's not instant. We have to learn how to build, how to shape our life with him as our firm foundation. First, Jesus as our foundation, and we build upon him. Next is to slow down. That means to reduce your pace to move with greater awareness, wisdom, and purpose. I think of a car slowing down to get to a red light, right? You slow down when you see the yellow light or the red light, And then you eventually, what else do? You eventually wait, which is our last word. But as you're slowing down to what? To protect yourself. Because if you were to go through that red light, you'd get hit by a car. So slowing down is important. Acknowledging your surroundings. Where are you? What are you doing? What are you taking in? Where is your source coming from? Where is your joy coming from? Who are you on the inside out? So slow down, reduce your pace, walk with the Lord. God walked in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. He didn't run. I mean, maybe he did at times, but it talks about in the Bible that he would walk in the coolness of day. He walked. He slowed down. He rested, he abided. He did rest actually on the seventh day too. When he was creating creation, he said it was good, but then he also rested. And then last is to wait. And I was actually the most surprised at this definition because it means to remain in readiness until the right time. Remain in readiness until the right time. It doesn't mean that you're watching TV and you're not doing anything. It means you're participating in life. You're ready, but you're waiting. You're slowing down. You're acknowledging your surroundings. You're abiding in the love and the peace and the goodness and the provision of God. But you're ready for the next step. And defining those words, again, very, very foreign words to me. I haven't really experienced what it means to abide and to rest and to wait and to slow down. But it also, God never said to stop. That's another thing. It says wait. I didn't hear the Lord say stop, because to stop means to give up. We're waiting. We're prepared for readiness. We're ready for when the time is right. And then I was reminded as I was going through these words of John 15. Of course, if you haven't read John 15, please go read John 15, because it just is the heart of God, the heart of Jesus for who we are as individuals. And that is just full. We are full. We are already clean because of our relationship with Jesus. So John 15 verse 9 says, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love." That's all we have to do. We just get to abide because the Father loved Jesus. Jesus loves us, and we are all created in his image. He loves us. He already died for us. There's no greater love than sacrificial love, and Jesus paid that price for us on the cross. He showed us the greatest and highest form of love. So we just get to rest in that. We get to rest in the greatest form of love. We get to receive love that we do not earn and we do not deserve. But we get to abide in it because he loves us. And then John 15:4 says, "Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me." When Ruth decided to make Naomi's God her God, she said, "God, I am abiding in you. This is new for me. I don't know what to do, but I want what you want. I am changing my life, my identity to reflect you." In the same way, when we accept Jesus, we abide in who he is, and we let that fruit be produced in our life, the fruit of the Spirit. And Ruth produced the fruit of the Spirit. She produced enough fruit for her to know the righteous thing to do was to not give up, was to go out and to glean in these barley fields. And she so happened, because she was living a righteous life, to come upon a righteous man who admired her righteousness, who saw the fruit in her, who saw the change in her, who believed in her, even in the mundane of her collecting barley harvest. So when we abide in Jesus, we produce fruit to look more like him. So in the moments where things don't go extravagantly the way that we planned or hoped or imagined, we know that God is still good. He still works in the so happens. So I encourage you today to live righteously like Ruth, to put your trust in God that he can do both the extravagant and part the Red Seas, but also in the mundane and the just so happens. Learn to abide. What are the words? Learn to abide, learn to rest, to build slowly but surely with Jesus as your foundation. Learn to slow down and learn to wait on the Lord in readiness for what he has for you. But first, abide and produce good fruit, the fruit of the Spirit. That's all I really have for you today. That's something that I'm actively learning, so something I wanted to talk about today. So I hope this was encouraging. For more information, you can go to firstfaithmedia.com. Please follow us on social media at First Faith Media on TikTok, Instagram. My personal is Delaney.O'Keefe on TikTok, Instagram. And I think that's everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go be brave and faithful in the world today. I hope this was encouraging. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.